one throne.
All right, there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the new show. The show used to be called Safe for Trap. It is now King of the Hill Survival Pool Show, Detroit's only survival pool show. I'm your host, Shawn Stewart, and this is our first show on November the 6th, 2025. Glad to have you on this wonderful Thursday, as always, as we are in week 10 of the NFL and week 11 of the college football survival pools. Just like I am, I'm still in both my survival pools, so it's great to have you. And we do have a very special guest. His name is Gabe Pogorski of Survivor Atlas. So he's the person that does survival pool, no matter if it's Splash, what's another one? Splash, you name it, ESPN, you know it, the whole 9 yards, including Circa. Circa, that's the one. It's Circa. It's Circa Sports. Because, like, wait a sec. It's Circa because they've been doing that since 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So we do have. So right now we are not streaming on X, but we are streaming on YouTube. So it's the first time we're actually doing it on a different X channel because I usually do it on my other X channel. So this is the new name of the show. It's called King of the Hill Survival Pool Show. And we do have a new survival pool handle. So you can follow King of the Hill Survival Pool Show on social media on X at King of the Hills. And on Instagram is King of the Hill Survivor. So that's our Twitter or X, how you say it, and Instagram handle. And you can also find us on audio version on our website, 586sports.com, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. So we ain't gonna waste no time. So I'm going to bring Gabe on. And how are you doing, Gabe?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day in Las Vegas. What about you, Shawn? How's it going, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I had like, wait a sec. It's Circa. It's Circa. It's Circa. I had to get it in my head.
Yeah, Circa's the big dog. Circa's the one pushing everything forward, I feel like. Circa's going to be the one making headlines when they get to $50 million pool in a few years. You know, they got celebrities playing. So it gets me going, man.
Now, how long you been playing Survivor Pool, if I may ask?
I think maybe 2014, 2015.
Okay.
I found on the internet there were some like places you could play with Bitcoin, and people I knew were always like messing with that stuff. So we saw NFL Survivor. We've had so much fun in it. Been playing ever since.
Now, I've been playing Survivor Pool since Splash Sports opened it in Michigan. And then when it opened, I was like, wow. Because I was so used to playing fantasy football. So now since I'm playing fantasy football, it's more strategic. You know, it's fundamentals. You got to look at the future picks and all that stuff. So I'm the type of person that like strategize and like think.
Right. And Survivor is so cool for that because it's simple, right? But it's like not. Like there's so many ways you can dig into it. And I think it's like I realized this when my family got into it. When I got my sisters have like yelling at the TV on some football, I know the concept was like fun, right? So it's cool to see it grow and more people being like fantasy. Maybe that's kind of old. That's kind of like the tired, and like the new thing is Survivor because it's more exciting. You can win more, right? And it's cool. By the way, just seeing more Survivor content, seeing people want to make content about Survivor. So I was stoked to see you doing this new show.
All right. So we have tonight's game. That is the Raiders and the Denver Broncos. And I gotta tell you, I thought Denver was gonna lose against Houston, but Denver pulled it back and won. That was a scary one because I was like, especially with that Denver offense. Like the defense, I'm confident with Denver's defense because Denver's known for their defense. But offensively, they should be like clicking. But and I always tell people this when it comes to Thursday nights, I don't pick no Survivor teams on Thursday nights at all. Not even Thanksgiving. Because it's always bad luck for me.
Yeah, I hear that, man. But this one's special tonight. I feel like with the Raiders coming off an overtime game, and everyone's talking about how they're going to be extra kind of worn out and a short week. I thought that was kind of an interesting angle, right? Because it makes sense. They're tired. They didn't just play some overtime. They played the whole overtime. So maybe they're worn down. I don't know. I like the Broncos. I'm going to use them in the entry I got them. I think.
Yeah, the Broncos should win that game. That should be no problem. Now, there is a team that actually knocked out one of my teams last week, and that was the Carolina Panthers. Oh my God, that was a big breaker. Now, as I was looking at my research, this is the first time they've been 500 for the first time since 2021.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
October 2021, and the Panthers won 3 straight at home for the first time since 2022. I was like, goodness gracious,
They're,
that's some information. So
they're
right now, the Carolina Panthers are like a 5.5 against the New Orleans Saints. So one thing I noticed this year is that when a team beats a team that nobody ever expected, they get on that team the next week. That's what I've been noticing about Survivor Pools this year, unlike other previous years. But this one, Carolina should have no problem beating the New Orleans Saints, especially because I didn't expect New Orleans to be this terrible.
right. And I mean, you got to think this new guy, what's his name, Shuck. Shuck's going to get he's going to get a win one of these weeks, right? Like, and Saints and Carolina, I think Carolina, I forget their recent like interaction between the two teams, but divisional rivalry, they play a lot of games tough, right? So it's such an appealing one in Survivor to think about, because if you get by with Carolina, you're pretty stoked, right? Like, so I think everyone.
Like, that's the schedule.
That. What's up?
Because right now they have a home game, New Orleans, and then week 11 they got it 11 and 12. They have 2 road games. That's Atlanta in week 11. Then they got a road game in week 12. So after this, the schedule is going to be even more tougher for the Carolina Panthers. So this is probably like the right time to like even select them.
It seems a great time to select them from like if you don't have any of the good teams and you're willing to take a step out. But I'm kind of worried in the ones I'm playing where Carolina, a lot of people talk about Carolina, and if they're really popular, then it feels like not as good being on them, right? Because if a third of all the people are on them and they lose, I don't want to be on that. If I'm going to get knocked out, I want to be not so much on the crowd. So still kind of a lot to weigh on that one, but it's that one's the most interesting spot because pretty much no one's burned the Carolina Panthers, right? Anyone can think about it. Anyone could take that one. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Are you gonna take Carolina or what?
I would take Carolina since I'm in multi-entries. Since I have a multi-entry. Now, if it was only one, then you could look somewhere else.
Or since you're in Splash, are you doing any of the double picks? Is it one of those where you got to pick 2 in a few weeks?
So since I'm on Splash Sports, it's like if you get the pick wrong, you're eliminated.
Okay. I know they had one like their big.
They do have a buyback.
Right, they had that, and I know one though. Once you get to week 11, I think, or week 13, they make you pick 2 teams every week.
Week 10, I believe. Week 10.
Okay, so is that the one you're in?
That was like the deadline because I got eliminated in week 8 or 9, and then I had to start all over. So at least I'm starting over. So at least I'm happy with that.
Right.
You got to start over. So it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it is cool. They run more and more contests all year. I wonder if they'll ever do it for other sports. Or have you played Survivor for anything besides football? Like the March Madness Survivor. Have you ever seen that?
I do March Madness Survivor Pool. I did that this past season. I'm looking forward to doing that in the future.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get into it this year. I just ignored it, but I regret it. So it's like a good off-season break for football, right?
Right. Now there's another team that's also been clicking. That's the Chicago Bears. Won 4 out of the last 5 games, and they have been overlooked due to previous disappointments. But you have a conference quarterback with a seasoned head coach, and it's a dangerous duo. So they're going to play against the New York Football Giants. They're going to be playing the New York Football Giants. As a matter of fact, if you look at the Bears' schedule, by the way, they're playing against the Giants, and then they play Pittsburgh in week 12, and then they got a couple of games you can use. So if you don't want to use them in week 10, you can also use them in week 15 against the Browns. That could be another one you can use.
It's sketchy thinking about them just using them ever, really. But this week they are interesting. The Giants, I'm not a believer in the Giants as they look right now, right? Maybe next year, but I don't know. Like their defense is so good, but I don't think they're playing together because their defensive coach, they're not like on the same page, right? And I could see Giants as soon as they fire that coach, maybe they get better. Just throwing that out there. I don't know.
Yeah, because like I said, I got two injuries. I originally had four, but because I picked Green Bay twice, it's like, okay, which one do I want to choose? And then you also look at Detroit. They're going on the road against Washington because they don't have Jaden Daniels because he's injured. So there's a couple of games you could use. You could either use him in week 10, week 12, week 14. Man, that's probably about it because the rest is going to be tough.
Yeah, it is nice keeping them just because they have so many spots where they might be big favorite. Like they might be when they finally play Dallas or Chicago, the Giants, they might be huge favorites. When Detroit hosts the Giants, they might be 14-point favorites or something. I don't know.
That's not bad.
That's pretty.
That sounds about right.
If Detroit's tough though, because I think depending on when your pool started at, some people might not have Detroit, and some people might be saving them. I know they were used a lot the first few months or whatever. So
I'm one of them people that's more likely going to save the Lions.
Yeah, keep it strong in your pocket.
Exactly. Now, there's another team I'm also going to save. That is the Buffalo Bills. They're going to face the Miami Dolphins as the Bills are favored by 9.5. Now, the Bills have won 14 out of their last 15 matchup against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins just sold their best defender at the trade deadline. So I'm looking at Buffalo's. It's like one thing about Buffalo is this. I noticed about Buffalo is this. They're not like Atlanta, because Atlanta be like, wait a sec. On paper, you should beat them, but y'all just fell out and choked. But with the Bills, it's like you got a great roster, but you guys can't even win a game or games that they should not lose to.
Yeah, that's weird in hindsight looking at that Atlanta Buffalo game, right?
Right.
And man, Buffalo's been like whooping Miami, but that first game this season was kind of close, right? Didn't it seem like Miami? I know that roster changes since then. They had Tyreek back then, but they did play him kind of close for what it's worth. So I don't know. I don't have any Buffalo, so I can't really think about that one this week. But I guess they're huge favorites.
Because I'm looking at their schedule. Because it's a road game in Miami, they got to play Tampa in week 11, Houston in week 12. That's a kind of a scary situation because Houston's in a situation where they're trying to get into the playoffs. Then they got to go to Pittsburgh in week 13. I can see them being in Cincinnati in week 14 because that's a home game for Buffalo. Then you can also use them in week 16. Depends on what your situation is with the survivor pool. If you have made it long enough, but if you're like starting all over, you could probably use them in that situation because, like I said, everybody's survivor pool is not the same. So this, like I said, this is another team I'm going to save. Just hopefully that nothing bad happens with my last remaining two. That's all I'm crossing my fingers at.
Right. I think, man, saving them till week 14 when they play Cincinnati, we got it on our map at looking at -12. So that's a huge favorite. They should whoop Cincinnati. And if you can use them then when the rest of your opponents can't, that's going to be sweet. Super sweet.
Wow, -14. That's a big number.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens to Cincinnati, right? They're kind of in flux. I feel like where maybe
they're also trying to get into the playoffs.
Right. We'll see if their defense can stop a single drive from anyone. But they're not in play this week, I guess, that defense.
Now, I'm also looking at another one. That is the LA Chargers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the thing about the Steelers is that's another team I'm very iffy with, especially on the offense. And it's, I don't know if it's me or it's just Aaron Rodgers playing as quarterback. Because, this is probably going to be his last season in the NFL. And right now, they're still leading in the AFC North. But this one, I don't know about this. I don't know about this game between these two. And then you also got the Chargers when it comes to the fourth quarter because they do have the ability to screw things up. That's the history of that's what the Chargers are known for. They're known for screwing things up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, man. Hey, I don't know if you were on the Chargers last week or watched them play the Titans, but
At least I picked them last week against the Titans. So
all right, so I know in that game, as soon as Joe Alt got knocked out, it was like the very next play, Herbert had like 3 guys on him. Like it seems scary. Where maybe if the Chargers are against a good defense and they don't have their offensive line together, it might be a long day for Herbert, right? But Pittsburgh, I feel like in my book, they didn't seem that good until last week. Like again, beating the Colts, okay, like they get props now. So I'm with you. Iffy game. Survivor point of view, maybe no one else takes the Chargers because they're not as like big a favorite. Maybe it's a cool Survivor angle to be on like a not very popular place and try to scoop everyone, but kind of risky. I'm not sure that's for me.
because I'm looking at the Chargers on my grid sheet that I made last night. Because week 11 they got a home game against Jacksonville, by the way, and then week 12 they get a bye. But at least they got the Raiders in week 13. That's a road game. And then 14 through 18, it's going to get tough. I think that the Chargers could beat Dallas in week 16 on the road. I can see that. I can see that happening. Just as long as the Chargers don't screw it up. If you're in that situation, if you didn't use the Chargers in week 16.
Yeah, the week 13 against Vegas, man, that spot, everyone's going to love that one. Assuming that the Raiders kind of don't get it together and the Chargers stay where they're at, that should be the biggest favorite that week. I'm pretty sure week 13. So I'm trying to save until then.
And not to mention that is the well-known AFC West rivalry between those two, the Chargers and the Raiders. That's a well-known rivalry in one of the AFC West divisions, other than like the Chiefs and the Raiders and all that type of stuff.
Right, it should be intense. But I just don't know if Vegas has enough to compete. Bowers came back and looked good, but besides that, I don't know if that's enough.
And then I'm also looking at Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. I was like, wait a sec, Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator, the one that helped the Ohio State Buckeyes to win the national championship. Goodness gracious!
Yeah, he's been hiding on the staff, but he's not. He used to. I feel like he used to be famous for coming up with like a new offense, new type of plays, short passes more than anyone else, but he hasn't been finding any new angles lately, it seems. I guess.
Now, if there is a survival pool of the week, what would you say to my audience that is listening, whether it's video or audio?
Oh, sorry, what survivor? Just a survivor, like a pick or favorite, a best pick, or what are you saying?
A pick, in your opinion.
Oh, okay. I think. I mean, this might not even be fair saying this, because I know a lot of people don't have Denver, but Denver tonight seems great, and just getting it done, getting the win tonight, and then Sunday kicking your feet up, cheering for all the underdogs. That's a good week to me. So Denver's my favorite, and my personal one on the going lower, the risky. If I had to pick a risky one, I like Chicago. Chicago's been calling me. I think these Giants are overrated, but I also think Chicago won't be popular. It'd be a cool pick to kind of sneak through everyone Sunday.
Last week I did say Chicago was going to be Cincinnati, which they did, but I didn't expect that game to be that very close. That's the only thing with Chicago is like they do have the talent, but it's just like, can they close the game?
Yeah, I mean that was crazy.
If you pick the Bears to beat the Giants in week 10.
Yeah, and just the Giants have bad mojo. There's just something there that they like. They're not putting it together. I think they're gonna get beat down.
And I don't even know if the head coach is gonna be fired.
right, or maybe just some staff, or who knows. But I'm definitely gonna watch. That's like I love those type of survivor games where Giants and Bears. It's not like it's about who wins the Super Bowl, but Survivor, it's like really fun because you're like, oh, I knew this team was going to win, and I got by with them, and so I'll be locked into that one.
And then I think I'm going to do something that I don't usually do. On Sundays, I think I'm going to wait until how many people are selecting which particular team, because I do have a habit of picking a team, and then when I pick a team that I think that's going to win, and then all of a sudden they lose. Because I didn't look at how many people picked that team. So I think Sunday I'm going to have to wait this time from now on.
I think that's a good angle in Survivor, because just, if you see, for like the extreme example, if you see everyone is on the same team, being on a different team just mathematically means you can win more money that way. So I always kind of look at it that angle first. What everyone else is doing, okay, how can I, attack everyone?
Now, where can my listeners find you on social media, by the way? And you do have a show tonight.
Hey, right on. Thanks for asking, man. We have this website, Survivor Atlas, where the idea is like we bring these contests to life, and we have a Twitter account that we sometimes put a lot of stuff on, and we hope to expand on more things over the years, and just bring the joy of Survivor to everyone, man, just like you're doing. So, Survivor Atlas, please check us out.
All right. Thank you so very much. I look forward to have you on the future show. And I could probably have you on for March Madness.
Hey, that sounds cool, man. I was just talking with my other guys about what we need to do for March Madness and how we could make something hot. So,
Because I did
yeah,
it
hey,
this past season.
yeah, cool, man. Yeah, let's do it again. Nice to meet you, and see you around.
All right. Thank you very much. And
All
you
right,
have
man.
a nice and wonderful evening.
Hey, you too, bro.
All right. So it is 6:52, by the way. So we got that out the way. Man, that time flying real fast. So, like I said, it is not on X. We're streaming on YouTube because apparently the new X account on my King King of the Hill did not work. So at least I'll post some videos. So at least that's not bad. And by the way, new Splash Sports customers can use my code UUM2IX to get $10 free when you enter a contest that is $10 plus. So that's when the contest starts. So once the contest starts, that's when you get the $10 free. And you can also refer your friends to any contest that is $10 or plus. So once you create your account, you'll get a link for that as well. So just want to put it out there. Okay, so now that we got that out the way, I am going to do my top 5 NFL touchdown streak picks on Splash Sports. So here's how it goes. Now, if you pick a quarterback, okay, he has to score a rushing touchdown. It cannot be passed. So on day one, okay, so on day one, you're going to pick 2 primary players and 1 alternate. Now, the only way your alternate can be primary is if one of your if the primary player does not play or injured. So if your player scored a touchdown, you advance to the next round. If not, you're eliminated. And then from day 2 onward, if you got to pick 1 primary and 1 alternate. Now, if your primary player doesn't play, like I said, the alternate will switch. And if your primary player does not score a touchdown, you're eliminated from the contest from day 2 onward as well. All right. So let us do number 1. So number 1, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Detroit Lions. He has only 1 touchdown in his last 4 games. He has been targeted 41 times over the last 4 games, hauling in 32 of those passes for 328 yards. He's seen a 45.2% target share in the red zone this year, tops in the NFL. So he's going to face a Commanders team that are second last in football in yards allowed to wide receivers and fourth last in TDs allowed to the position. That's total of 11. Second one I'm looking at is Quentin Johnson of the LA Chargers. Now, he has scored in 5 of 8 games he's played this year. He couldn't ask for a better matchup as the Steelers are dead last in receiving yards allowed to wideouts this season, as well as targets and receptions. Third one we're going to look at is Chris Olave of the New Orleans Saints. He is the second most targeted receiver in the league, trailing only Jamar Chase, and the Saints receiver should see some more product with Rashid Shaheed recently dealt to Seattle. Now, he thrives against zone defenses, and he's great to score against a Panthers unit that deploys it at the 3rd highest rate in the league. Then James Cook at number 4. He is averaging nearly 1 touchdown per game at the halfway point of the season. He's going to face a Dolphins front 7 who struggles to stop the run. He's averaging 4.2 yards per carry in last week's win against Kansas City. Cook is listed as one of the top contenders for the Offensive Player of the Year award. That's not a surprise, so go figure. The Dolphins front 7 ranks near dead last in run defense win rate. And then last but not least, we have Kyle Monogamy. Excuse me if I pronounce his name wrong. Kyle Monogamy broke out as the Bears running back one last week, totaling 194 all-purpose yards, and he'll torch a Giants defense that is 31st in rushing yards allowed per game. That is yikes. That is a recipe for disaster. Okay. So we got that out the way. So we are 656. We're not doing that bad. So we only got 3140. Okay, let me put that banner up. All right, there we go. Got to put the banner up. So like I said, use my code UUM2IX and you will get $10 free when you enter a contest that is $10 plus. And when you do that, that's when you get your free $10 as well. All right, so we're going to be off to college. So here's a couple of games I'm going to warn you if you guys are in your college football survivor pool on Splash Sports. So we got a couple of games in the ACC. We got a couple of games in the Big Ten, Mountain West, and SEC football that you need to pay attention to. Okay. So let us start off with my Big Ten because I am in Michigan, so I'm in Big Ten Nation. All right, so there is a game going on this Saturday. So number 6 Oregon is going to take on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now, I was looking at some stats, okay? Now, when Iowa plays top 10 teams at home, Kurt Prince has beaten 7 of them since 2000. I know that's probably a stat we never even heard of. Now, if you look at Oregon, now the Ducks quarterback Dante Moore is beating up coming into this game. He will be playing after getting healthy over the bye, but he's not 100% healthy. And he has proven that he cannot be trusted against a tough defense. So the fact that this game is likely to be rainy and in a tough environment, that could spell Oregon in big trouble. Now, the Hawkeyes offense is averaging 34.3 points per game over the last 3 games. That's like never even heard of because we don't think offense like Iowa like that because we're used to seeing Iowa on defense. Now, they have not seen a defense like Oregon over the past 3 games. Now, the Hawkeyes offense packs enough of a punch to be able to hang with top teams, unlike their other recent teams. So you may want to watch out. So according to Splash Sports, they have Iowa as a 66.40% beating the Iowa Hawkeyes. So that's a road game, by the way. So after Iowa, they got to play Minnesota. That's a home game. So they got 2 home games. Week 12, Minnesota. Week 13, USC. That's a rivalry game. And then the last game is at Washington. So those games is like, 13 and 14. Oh, that's my cup. Then we're also going to look at the ACC. So that's why I'm giving you guys these warnings before you even make the pick. And plus, I always encourage you this. When you play Survivor Pool as a beginner, you want to make sure you have more than 1 entries because the more entries you have, the better chances you have a better opportunity of winning your Survivor Pool. So, next one, we have I'm looking at Wake Forest at 12th ranked Virginia. Now, Virginia is on top of the conference right now after winning 3 ACC games in overtime and losing an ACC game that doesn't count as an ACC game. The Cavaliers are going to welcome Wake Forest. That is fresh off a 42-7 beatdown loss to Florida State. Now, Wake Forest have been very up and down this season. Just a week before getting blown out at Florida State, they did upset SMU. They also taken Georgia Tech to overtime and beat Kennesaw State 10-9 early in the season. So it's been a quarterback carousel between veterans Robbie Ashford and Deshaun Purdy for this Wake Forest team that's 5-3, who have been more of a mess than a success this season. And as according to Splash Sports, They actually got Virginia a 71.40%. And matter of fact, you can go to our website at 586sports.com or go to our Patreon if you're watching it on Patreon. So if you're listening to the audio, I will put that link on the description box. All right. Then there's another one. We can look at North Carolina and Stanford. Now, North Carolina did win an ACC game last week. They beat Syracuse, that just was starting a freshman quarterback with no experience. Stanford has two ACC wins itself. They beat Florida State a few weeks back and Boston College back in September. So both teams are fairly non-competitive in most conference matchups. Now, Stanford is more competitive at this point than Syracuse, and even going on the road, Stanford has enough talent to stack up with North Carolina. So, Stanford, let me look at North Carolina is a 74.70% according to Splash Sports. Stanford is 25.30% of beating North Carolina. Then let's go to the SEC. Now, this one is kind of scary. There's a couple of SEC games. So, another one you can also look at is Georgia and Mississippi State. Now, Mississippi State did win an SEC game, which was close. So they found a way to win over Arkansas 38-35. Now they're going to return home to play a Bulldogs team that has flirted with disaster, but found ways to win, including last week against Florida. That was a really tough one. So right now, the SEC they got Georgia at 73.70% beating Mississippi State. Mississippi State is 26.30%. Another one is Auburn at Vanderbilt. Now, Auburn did fire their coach after the loss to Kentucky. So right now, the interim for Auburn is DJ Durkin. He is the interim head coach. So he does have the defensive players' respect. So Vanderbilt is beat up after the loss to Texas last weekend. So Auburn is going to open things up a bit on offense. We'll find a way to pull the upset. Excuse me. Had a dry throat. So they're going to have to find a way to open that offense up, and the coaching change could bump. So Auburn is. Oh, I just had it. Auburn is. Matter of fact, let me look at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has a 68.80% chance of beating Auburn. That's what it is. And then let's look at the Mountain West. So Mountain West, you got Hawaii and San Diego State. Now, right now, San Diego State is 7-1 because they did lose from Washington. So they're going to travel to Hawaii this Saturday, and the game will be at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Okay? So quarterback Micah Alejandro has been incredible for Hawaii because he has 2,124 passing yards and 16 touchdowns through 8 games this season. And they could put up points, averaging 39.2 points per game over the past 4 games. So San Diego State's defense has been very strong. They only surrendered a total of 17 points over the past 3 games. So you're traveling to Hawaii and playing the offense on a level that they have not seen all season. That's going to be a new level of test for San Diego State. So like I said, that game will be at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you're going to be able to watch that if you're not working. Now, if you're working on Sunday, then you're more likely not going to watch that game. But since I don't work on weekends, I can watch the game. So, according to Splash Sports, they are giving San Diego State a 68.30% chance of beating Hawaii. Goodness gracious. So, it is 7:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday. So, we had a very nice, terrific show. And that went quick. So, I would like to thank Gabe Podgorski of Survivor Atlas for being on the show for tonight. So you can follow King of the Hill Survivor Pool Show. I will show you the social media page if you're watching this online. So you can follow King of the Hill Survivor Pool Show on social media. On X is at King of the Hills. Now, if you're on Instagram, is King of the Hill Survivor. So once again, if you're on X, is King of the Hills is KingOThehills. And then Instagram is King of the Hill Survivor. Okay. And then King of the Hill is also available on not only on our website, but also on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. So make sure you not only like, but also subscribe. As a matter of fact, you can go on our website, our homepage at 586sports.com, subscribe to our weekly newsletter of upcoming guests and the latest shows as well. So that's about it. So thank you guys very much, and you guys have a nice and wonderful week. And I will be posting the clips on social media. So so if you miss it, don't worry. I'll post it on YouTube as well. All right. So see you later.
One pick. One throne.